This Craftsman Truck Series driver changes edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off of your first month and start making smarter bets today. We're also brought to you by Gametime. Gametime tickets make the perfect holiday gift. Sign up at gametime.co. Use promo code CFBX for $20 off. Gametime.co, promo code CFBX.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you ask me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Cheers to Hump Day, everybody. It is, of course, the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He is Cody Zeeb. I am Rod Villagomez. We are here today to talk about some crazy, silly season stuff that's been going on over the offseason. Lots of driver changes obviously taking place, as it always happens every offseason. This week, we figure we'll break down all three series, and we'll just sort of take them episode by episode. And, of course, we start with the trucks because I feel like, Cody, that and the Xfinity Series were the most active so far in the first couple of months of the offseason. I think everything is just about done. I'm sure there's a couple of rides here and there that need to be shored up, but for the most part, these two series are pretty active, so we have to take them kind of in their own separate rights. So we start with trucks. Tomorrow we'll move on to the Xfinity Series, and we'll wrap it up with some Cup Series. And, of course, as we always do, we'll tie it back into why this pertains to betting and what we're going to be looking at in the season going forward because – you know, listen, any show can give you picks. We're here to try to teach you how to make informed decisions about those picks. And we'll give you the picks too, but ultimately we want you to be smarter NASCAR bettors, which is why we do episodes like this. But Cody, welcome back first and foremost. And second of all, very happy to be talking racing with you at the middle of the week.
Yes, absolutely. You know, I love talking racing always. Starting with the truck series is great. And yeah, I think that the Cup Series is pretty well settled, though we got some more Cup Series drivers news today, and we'll talk about that, obviously. And I think Xfinity trucks, for the most part, all your big rides, your big drivers are pretty much settled at this point. If we get any more news, we can obviously talk about it at the time. But, yeah, a lot of things moving and shaking. A lot of, some team Truck Series specifically. We got teams going away. We got teams joining. Some really big shakeups there as we've the last couple of seasons kind of seen that as you got KBM switching from Toyota to Chevy. Now KBM has gone away and it's going into Spire, and GMS is gone, and some of the other truck teams kind of picking up the parts and pieces and drivers even specifically. So yeah, lots of good stuff to talk about. I'm excited and ready to go.
Ready to go with Rye Cape. Also our buddy Justin over here in the chat as well. Old Fashioned Football. Rye asks how we're doing. Happy holidays. You know what? Listen, I've been trying to use the time that I'm driving now and a little more now that there's no NASCAR content to sort of swallow in as much as there was during the season. I'm trying to take a step back and make my mind a little more at ease. So I'm listening to these podcasts now that are kind of teaching me and walking me through like de-stressing and taking away all the stress. And so far, so good. It's terrible, but listen, it's like medicine that you can't really swallow. So I'm sort of trying to get in my Zen mind state, and so far so good. I mean, until the grandma in front of me decides she wants to drive 6 miles an hour.
I was going to say, based on your text about traffic, I don't know how well the Zen podcasts were working.
I
But
wasn't listening to it when I was driving on my way home. I was listening to it on my way to get to work. That's a 2.5-hour drive. I need that Zen. But no, I'm doing good, Rye. Thanks for joining us as always. And yes, happy holidays to you. And yours is right around the corner.
oh, shit, Christmas like this week.
This
crazy.
week, dude. This week it is. But you, my friend, you had a very solid vacation that you're just coming back off.
Yeah, had a good time. Went saw my in-laws, my wife's sister with all their children live out in Colorado, so we go there every Christmas, a little bit before Christmas, and do our Christmas time. So spent the weekend there. That was a lot of fun. Wife and I our anniversaries earlier in December, so just kind of get a day to ourselves to go explore. Kid hangs out with grandma and grandpa. Everything works out great. So yeah, we had a lot of fun.
You had a lot of fun, but let it not be said, ladies and gentlemen, that we do not live and breathe the racing lifestyle. And I say that as somebody who's got a shit ton of medals on the wall that probably don't even belong there. But Cody, my friend, brought home himself a trophy from this vacation. Cody,
I did. I got the beautiful trophy here. It's a guy running. It says 2023 Meister Holiday Showdown. So yeah, it's pretty funny story. So we have a group text, with the family, and so on Thanksgiving, my wife's her family, her husband, the kids, my sister-in-law, they all do a 5K for Thanksgiving, which, oh boy, that's a lot. So they sent pictures, cute, the kids and everybody running. It was great, cute, and everything. And then somehow it was said. I think Dan, my brother-in-law, I think he said I should run a 5K or something. And I go, I don't know about a 5K, but I could beat you in a 100-yard dash. And he, of course, goes bet. And so then it became a thing. And so since Thanksgiving, the group text has been nothing but train. So I had a piece of pumpkin pie the next day, and I sent a picture. I'm like training for the 100-yard dash. And Dan he actively runs pretty much every day, and so. Kind of a funny thing because I know I'm super fast. I might be fat these days. I was a sprinter back in the day. I ran a lot and I could still run fast. My daughter's softball this summer, we were, at practice, and the girls made some comment. I said, well, I would hate for you to get whooped by a fat guy. And they challenged me to a race and I killed everybody. So I know I could still run fast. And so yeah, I did absolutely nothing to prepare for this race. I did not run one time. Not to mention, we got there and I got a little scared because they live at 95,000 or whatever it is, 9,500 feet altitude, and I get winded walking up the steps at that height. So it was a little interesting, but yeah, video is over on the X at Husker_Zeeb. You can see it. Absolutely spanked him. He pulled up at about 65 yards because he knew he was smoked, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. And yeah, so I got my father-in-law. He went all the way in on it. Shout out to Don. He got the trophy engraved. I wasn't expecting. Actually, I bought like a little 8-pack of like plastic trophies as a gift because as a gag because I wanted to present that as the winning trophy. So I ended up giving that to Dan as his participation trophy instead because yeah, my father-in-law, he went it all out, got the engraved trophy, got it there for the thing. And so now, yeah, it's going to be an annual thing. We're already discussing next year's race. We've talked about maybe we just did it on the gravel road kind of out in front of their area there. But it'll be weather dependent. You never know in December, but we talked about maybe doing 200 yards. I feel like that might be a little more fair. I got to go a little farther and might give him a little bit more of an advantage. So we'll see. No Tyreek deuces. I did almost rip my shirt off after I crossed the line. But he edited that out of the video because nobody wants to see that.
Well, now listen, I'm disappointed.
I did spin around and go backwards like as I was crossing the line.
Yes,
so.
You did. And
I got what I have to do. I will find. Did I post the slow mo? I don't think I posted the slow mo on X.
Not on X. On Facebook.
Was on Facebook. I'll post the slow mo video. It's pretty funny because you could see me turning around and kind of like taunting him, and then as I turn back around, my belly, takes the ribbon that we were racing to out. So it was pretty great.
I'm disappointed on a couple of of things. One, that there was not a victory lane set up for you. I wish that
there was like trophy presentation after. We did get that.
But I mean, you needed a podium, you needed your anthem song, you needed
and see, that had been all the jokes leading up to it. Like we were talking about, did he have the stands built yet? And actually, so again, shout out to my father-in-law. They got 11 inches of snow the weekend before. And so he went down to the road because it's kind of like down and around in front of there is where the flat area is. He went down there with his four-wheeler, cleared all the snow out of that range. And you could see like further down the road, it was all snow packed and everything. He did it right away so that the cars going by couldn't pack the snow in. So he had a surface to race on. So he took it as seriously as we did, which was wonderful.
That's awesome. I'm telling you, I love wholehearted family events like that. And that was definitely something to see. I can't wait. Maybe one day I'll go out there and maybe we'll make it an all-star race and I'll join as well.
I'll race you in a 100-yard dash route.
Oh, dude, let's go. I'm ready. Okay, but it's got to be like Daytona. We gotta like pick a good.
You get a bump draft or what?
Nice little bank track is what we gotta make it on.
Okay,
so.
deal.
That way, there's grooves that I can work in during warm-ups. All right, let's continue this conversation on the other side of the break. But let me first tell you about Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy has a way to play alongside your favorite fantasy players all season long. NFL, NBA, NHL, college basketball, college football. Simply pick higher or lower on your favorite players' fantasy stats and cash in. Got some Underdog fantasy picks coming for you for Thursday night, so stick around. Maybe we'll give you a couple of those at the end just to toss them in. So watch along. Make your picks. Maybe make a little cash over on Underdog's mobile app or website, UnderdogFantasy.com. And when you sign up with the promo code SGPN, Underdog's going to double your first deposit up to $100. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code SGPN. So Cody has decided he's going to be participating in the next Olympic Games, so that's great for him. We'll make sure that we get him into Team USA's training facilities ASAP. That way he can represent us and do it well. But in the meantime,
they do live right outside of Colorado Springs, which a lot of Olympic training goes on there. So maybe it's destiny.
I mean, it's winter Olympics.
I don't know if I can beat Usain Bolt just yet. But with a little training, you never know.
You could beat him if he didn't know we were or you guys were racing.
Like, hey, just stand right here, and then I just run, and then
you're like,
beat you.
I won, and the guy's like, what's even going on?
I beat Usain Bolt in the race.
I beat him, and he didn't know what was going on. That's how bad I beat him.
I've also just shared the slow-mo video to X. So
good. You guys need to get on that.
Yeah, again, @Husker_Zeeb. Go check it out. It's rather entertaining.
Yeah, don't miss out on that one. It's a lot of fun. Speaking of a lot of fun, that's what it's going to be watching this truck season, this coming season. There's, as we've talked about time and time again, when we talk about the trucks in the Xfinity Series, these two series lend themselves to a lot of turnover, to a lot of new faces, to a lot of new sponsors and teams and everything that you can think of because of the nature of the beast, as far as, they're funneling their way up to the Cup Series proper. And so you got young drivers that are only there part-time. You got young drivers that didn't cut it, that they need to move on, or the team needs to pick new drivers. So of course that happens every season. Trucks, it always feels like, is the most active of the bunch when it comes to silly season because of that simple fact, because that's where the younger drivers are. And a lot of them either move up to the Xfinity Series full-time and they don't necessarily go and stick around the trucks full-time, or vice versa, right? The Xfinity drivers that didn't cut it in Xfinity are coming back to the trucks and all that kind of, you don't see much of that too often anymore. A lot of times if you don't make it in the Xfinity Series, you just sort of fizzle out, right? Because you've already had your time in the trucks. But
depending on money situations and stuff. But hey, I mean, even this year we're seeing, a couple of guys go right from the trucks to the Cup Series. So that they're, and they're from solid trucks, championship level trucks. And their rides obviously are being replaced with new drivers.
Yeah. So, all right. So listen, like, as we said, there's going to be a lot of new faces in a lot of new rides. One team going away completely and folding their doors, which obviously leaves, well, we talked about it too, Christian Eckes sort of out on a limb earlier. Of course, he landed on his feet, but let's just start there, Cody. So team going away, Christian Eckes without a ride. Talk us
Grant,
through that.
You're talking about Grant. Wait, who are you talking about?
Christian,
yeah, I was gonna. Eckes still has his.
Eyes were looking at a picture of Christian Eckes, and I was like, "My bad."
Yeah, Grant Enfinger, obviously, with GMS along with a couple of other drivers, makes it to the championship 4. There's some argument that he maybe could have won that, had it not been for the late race antics of Corey Heim, getting his retaliation against Carson Hocevar, to which I would say if it wasn't for Carson Hocevar, Corey Heim would have won it anyways. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, Enfinger in that 23 team. I mean, they made it all the way to the championship. Now GMS goes away. And we'll kind of talk about how, MHR, kind of absorbed a lot of their assets. But yeah, he's done there, and he'll move over into the number 9 CR7 Motorsports Chevrolet. He's obviously got champion power equipment. They followed him everywhere. They were with him at ThorSport, went to GMS with him. Man, second time, like for a guy, he's kind of one of those Justin Allgaier types, right? Where he's just laying it in the Truck Series, and that's where he's going to be. He's not looking to move up, not looking to move around, but loses his ride kind of unceremoniously at ThorSport despite running well, and then loses his ride at GMS because they're shutting the doors, obviously. And so now having to land on his feet yet again, champions followed him everywhere. So I think it's going to be an interesting opportunity for him. I don't know that the CR7 ride is going to be up to the ThorSport GMS standards. Now they do have an alliance with MHR, which is the McAnally Hilgeman Racing, which Christian Eckes drives for. That's put all the pieces together for you there, Rod. But and so I think that it'll be interesting because they absorbed a lot of the GMS stuff. So how much of the GMS stuff kind of comes with him? Does him and actually having a sponsorship to come with that team, bring the money to that team to elevate them? Can we still see him win races? I don't know. It's going to be a real interesting thing to see, and I think he's going to be one of those drivers you're really going to have to keep an eye on early on in the season, because I think we'll learn early whether they're going to have something or whether they're not, and we might be able to get in before the books start adjusting to the name if it's not looking good, or before the books start adjusting to the team. If they're underestimating the team a little bit and they're kind of outperforming. So he's definitely going to be a guy that I have circled because I don't really know what to expect out of that truck and that team.
And if that 9 is familiar to you, last season Colby Howard was driving the number 9 truck for Cody Aragba. I love that. Roba. But yeah, so they'll be taking over the 9 as you talked about.
Did Colby Howard do the entire season in the 9?
He did the entire season.
Okay. I couldn't remember if he did or not, because I know that team has been kind of piecing drivers together here and there. So, but yeah, nothing super impressive from him.
No, obviously Colby Howard was definitely just kind of a guy that was out there riding around in that Grant Country merch truck. Actually, he didn't. He made 20. Yeah, he made all 23 starts on that one. He only had 1 top 5, 1 top 10 in the entire season. Sort of a middling guy. 22
probably super speedway.
Yeah,
that was probably a super speedway. Yeah.
Let's see. His 1 top 5 was as I scroll through here.
Daytona.
Daytona. First race of the season.
Exactly. Started off on a good point, at least. But
that 9, right? That 9 truck for Enfinger. Look, we know, and we talked about him a lot too, as far as he was a guy that we knew could win races, and he did win some races, but it just felt like we were always on the front end of him, and it never felt like, I don't know. It was like we put his talent before sometimes his finishes, and we were like, oh, it's Grant Enfinger. He's got to finish well, right? And then he'd go out and he wouldn't really do well for a couple of weeks in a row, and you're like, man, what happened to Grant Enfinger? And then he'd go out and win a race, and you're like, oh, well, there's Grant Enfinger, and then he'd kind of go back into so.
God, he's almost Joey Logano-esque as far as like how Joey's kind of been the last 2 seasons. It's like you have some really up races, you have some really down races. It's kind of hard to know when it's going to show up, when it's not. Yet he still finds his way to the championship 4, right? And almost wins the title by getting hot at the right time. Very much a similar kind of case to Joey Logano in the Cup Series.
Yeah. So it'd be interesting again to see what he does with this 9 team. Can he elevate the equipment? Can he make a better truck out of what he's given? We'll see. I mean, we know the talent's there. It's just, is that equipment going to be good enough for him? I mean, we know that not all of the NASCAR series equipment is the same, be it trucks, be it anything. It's all tuned to the teams. And so he can make it what he can, but if you were to pick a over under on his win total, and I'm sure we'll get him soon, would you put it at 1.5 or would you put it at 0.5? I mean, granted,
I think you put it at 0.5. I don't know that you can go 1.5. I think that's probably pushing a little bit. I could see him again. It's going to be so interesting to see how he does in this ride. I think that 1.5, the books would be leaving themselves way too much to. I think you'd have to hammer the under just because of the uncertainty. So I think 0.5 is probably, and you kind of juice the over a little bit maybe, because you kind of expect him to win, but it's not necessarily a foregone conclusion. So, and again, just in this truck, I don't know how it would go. So yeah, I think you would probably go at 0.5, and even then, you're going to lean towards the under. No, hopefully this will be one of them that we get. We should be getting Truck Series. I was looking back at last year, kind of looked like early January is when we got Xfinity and Truck Futures. Obviously, we don't have those to talk about yet. We don't have actual numbers. Now that a lot of these rides are kind of getting settled, we get through the holidays. Hopefully, we'll have that stuff and be able to talk about that in January.
So if it's like, I don't know, plus 130, plus 140 to the over, if it was set at 1.5, would you take it?
1.5. No, I don't think you would probably just avoid it. Be too much juice on the under. At that number, it's just not good enough. I don't know. He won some races in GMS, but it's not like he ever really dominated. So I think I would lean to the under. And again, you got to keep in mind there's only 23 truck races, like you mentioned. So it's not 36 opportunities like in the Cup Series. It is a lot less. And with some of these other bigger teams and stuff, I think it's just going to be a little tougher.
All right. Yeah, again, Grant Enfinger, I'd be really curious to see what his over-under is on his total. So we'll keep an eye on that for you as well. All right, let's talk about some more drivers, but let's tell you first about Gametime. Listen, tis the season to get pissed off when you're buying tickets for whatever it is. I don't care whether it's the Nutcracker, whether it's daddy, take me somewhere, and you only have 2 days to figure out if you can go or not. And then all of a sudden, as you go there, the last minute ticket deals are gouging you. They're pricing it up because they know that you waited till the very last minute to try to buy tickets and whatever. So listen, if you're in that boat, take yourself out. Go to Gametime right now. Download this app. Make sure they take care of you, because not only are they going to make it easy for you to buy those last minute tickets, but they're going to give you a guarantee that your tickets are going to be on time and authentic. Plus, this whole thing is made for your phone, so you're not trying to go to your computer to look anything up. You're not trying to fish through your inbox to try to find your tickets. Everything you need is right there on your app. Not to mention you get lower fees, better prices for everything. If you find a better price in the limited time that you have to find another price, that's fine. If you have it, they're going to make up the difference, 110% of that difference. Make sure you are getting down on this deal, because, my friends, buying tickets should not be as stressful as it is. Gametime is making sure that it's not. So snag the tickets without the stress with Gametime. Gametime tickets make the perfect holiday gift too. So don't just do it for yourself. Do it for someone you love. They'll probably love you even better after they figure out that it's from you. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code CFBX for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CFBX for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Win bigger by betting smarter this NFL season with Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. You can research every NFL, NBA, and soccer bet with historical stats and data. Enter any parlay idea into Hall of Fame Bet's revolutionary parlay optimizer tool. You're going to get hit rates broken down by leg, as well as an expected probability for the entire parlay. Sort all players by hit rate for any bet to learn which players are hot and which picks have value. So stop betting in the dark. Join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame Bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off of your first month today. Start researching, start winning. Hall of Fame Bets. All right, so we talked a little bit offline about this next driver, and both of us had to stop real quick because we almost thought it was Brett Moffitt. No, it is Thad Moffitt. It is Thad Moffitt. Yeah. He is now driving the number 46 for Faction 46, teaming up with a guy that I think we know, right? Little guy named Petty, something to that effect.
Yeah, might have heard of Thad Moffitt's grandfather, Richard Petty. So that's the connection there, which is cool, right? Keeping the Petty legacy kind of moving on there with that, and he's done some racing for Petty in the ARCA and kind of dabbled a little bit in the trucks, but now Richard is teaming up with an owner from Oklahoma. I don't know if they ever even announced who the owner was. All I saw was somebody from Oklahoma. I don't know if they didn't care. I think they own some grocery stores maybe, but they're teaming up with Richard to create a new team, Faction 46. 40 has been the number that Moffitt has driven, which kind of keeps in line, right? The Petties, all kind of those 40 numbers, right? Lee always drove 41. Kyle for a long time was 42. Richard, of course, was the 43, probably the most iconic number in NASCAR, right? And Kyle drove 44 as well for a while. Adam, of course, drove 45. Kyle drove it after Adams passed away again. And so, yeah, 46 kind of seems like a good progression right into the next Petty, right? So there you go. So yeah, Thad Moffitt with the 46, owned by Richard Petty. Obviously, there's a little bit of talent in that kid's blood, you could say. So just a little bit, like 10 generations of racers at this point, getting down to Thad there. So yeah, I'm excited to see it. Again, another one. Probably temper your expectations, right? It's probably not going to be anything crazy, but good to see the Petty legacy continuing on and being carried with Thad there.
And obviously, because it's a Petty, it's a Chevy for sure. So this team, it's only one car.
Is that an obvious thing? Because the other team Petty's
true.
Involved in is Toyota now.
That's why we're here. That's why we're off season. You're right. It could be a Toyota.
Yeah.
Okay, but
although Richard's not, it's confusing. But I don't think he's really an owner at Legacy anymore. But he's still part of the brass. I don't know how that works exactly, but I believe most of his portion has been bought out. But he's still involved, and that is Toyota over there at Legacy, of course, now.
He still gets CC'd on all the company emails, but he's the guy that doesn't necessarily. All he'll do is just read them, and then like every once in a while, if something pertains to me, he'll pop in like, "Oh yeah, I vote yes" or whatever.
He just shows up in his big hat, sunglasses, smiles, and waves, and it's good.
He's that guy in the office that they've got the placard up there, right? But you never see. You're like, did they even really work here? I've never seen that office used. It's there. Like, yeah.
I've been surprised how many races he gets to, though. Like he's getting up there. He's a guy, and he's still there all the time, and just always got his same signature look. Doesn't look like he ages anymore. He just stays the same.
Customers Bank will be the main sponsor. They got Safety Clean. They got Joe Jurgolitz and Son, America's Tastiest Duck, and Pristine Auction. Induction, Innovation, and Best Working Wipes will also be on that car as well.
I love looking through some of the sponsors these days. It's like, whoa, okay, hey, cool, whatever.
Hey, listen, man, you gotta make your money somehow. But
that's right.
As far as that's concerned, I mean, listen, I don't know that we will be talking too much about Thad Moffitt. We'll have to see. I will definitely have to see how he performs in this truck in particular, because like you said, he has actually done ARCA. He has done some trucks, so it's not as if he's without experience, but by the same token,
it's not a ton to really note in those starts. Again, probably not a guy we'll be talking about a ton. Maybe when it comes to some super speedways, even then we don't really get top 10s in the truck series, unfortunately. So probably just not a guy we're gonna mention very much.
4 starts in 2022 in the truck series. His best finish there was 18th at Daytona, 29th at Vegas, 32nd at Atlanta, 31st in Knoxville, driving the 43 truck. So, just 4 career starts in the truck series heading into this, but it's a full-time driver. Somebody we'll be keeping an eye on. If they give us any sort of head-to-heads or anything like that, we might take a good hard look depending on who he is matched up against. All right, let's move on to somebody we could be talking about. I know you love you some Timmy Hill. Timmy Hill.
We'll definitely be talking about some Timmy Hill when it comes to super speedways.
Timmy Hill, number 56 in the Hill Motorsports Toyota. That is going to be his ride. He'll be in the 56 this season. So
he's actually, this is so exciting. If you've followed NASCAR for any amount of time, the Hill family, with Timmy, and with his brother, whose name I'm blanking on, also starts with a T, I believe. But yeah, they have been around so long. There was the COVID thing, racing stopped. They went to the iRacing thing, and Timmy Hill is a great iRacer, and so he showed up and did well in those, and then suddenly wasn't invited back to those for whatever reason. There was kind of a splitting there, and we haven't really seen him run in the Cup Series since we've gone in the next gen car, which has been kind of sad. But he's actually got enough sponsorship. He's going to run a full season in the 56 instead of splitting time with his brother, getting some other guys in there. They've always one of those families that just they piece it together to get to the racetrack. And while those aren't the guys you're going to be talking about to win on a weekly basis in any type of racing, they're very important. You go to your local track, and sure, maybe this guy, runs his hobby stock and he's in, 10th place every week and not really competing that much, but he's important to making the field and being a part of the racing and everything. And that goes for Timmy Hill here as well and for this truck. So I think it's awesome that they've already been able to put together a full year of sponsorship. It's not even a deal where it's like we're hoping to run it. We're kind of still working on some races. Like, it sounds like it's locked in and everything is a done deal. So should see him compete a full year. I almost guarantee you we'll be talking about him when it comes to super speedways. Absolutely love betting on both Hill brothers. I believe Tyler is his name. I finally remembered it. But I love betting on both these guys when it comes to the super speedways. So I know for sure we'll be talking about him there, and just excited to see Hill get the opportunity to kind of be full time again, back in the truck series now. But I think that's a good place for him.
1 career top 5, 8 career top 10s in the Craftsman Truck Series. Last season, he ran 14 races, finished 21.3 was his average finish. He had 1 top 10 in that as well at Atlanta.
He is a amazing DFS play anywhere too. Man, I wish we might need like 10 shows this year per week, Rod. Because if we could get to some truck and Xfinity DFS worked in here, we'd be talking about Timmy Hill a lot.
Well, listen, we did have a meeting with the boss. We still have one more, so I'm pretty sure we could pitch him. Every series gets their own DFS.
We got invited back for a second meeting, and we're still here doing shows. So I think that's all good news.
I feel like it's all good news. Timmy brings with him 11 years of experience in the Cup, 13 in the Xfinity, which was also all the various forms of it going back to 2011. Was it Bush for a while? I think
Nationwide, Bush, Xfinity. Yeah. Might be something else because I think their deal's up after this season. So 2025, it might be back to the Bush series. Who knows?
Could it be the NASCAR Gambling Podcast series? That's
I guess we got something to talk about in our next meeting. Huh?
Hey, I'm pitching it for that. Let's see what. There's a ton going on in the chat.
Chat's getting spicy over here. These Iowa guys are out of control.
Mark or Justin replies, "Get out of here, Nick." Okay, just kidding. Sure, yeah, they're friends. You can stay. And then Nick says bye, which is why our viewership dropped by like 6 because everybody's beating each other out.
Yeah, geez. All right, everybody, calm down in the chat. It's fine. We love interacting in the chat. Update too on our Pirate League. Obviously, I told the story about beating Justin to get into the playoffs, faced Miranda in round 1. She was surprised on the Old Fashioned Football podcast that happened last night that she was bounced out by me in the playoffs. She goes, I lost? Really? She acted like she had no idea, even though I was beating her a majority of the weekend. But that's okay. I did her and move on to the next round. So I am now responsible for taking out the entire Old Fashioned Football show, which I am proud of.
Arrgh. Gotta love that. All right. Speaking of taking things out, let's talk about Tyler Ankrum. I don't know. Tyler's not taking anybody out. But Tyler Ankrum moving from the 16, right, to the 18. Ankrum will now be driving for
35.
I know, right? Follow that round. Now the 18 for McNally Hilgerman Racing, who I'm telling you right now, they are quietly building a very, very decent stable of drivers. I mean, these aren't going to be, I think they may end up being very much contenders by the end of it.
The progression of this team, you go a couple of years ago and they had, who was in that 19 truck for a while that raced in Colic part-time this season. Gosh, what's his name? Derek Kraus, that's it. They had Derek Kraus in that, and Derek Kraus did an okay job and did decent. And then you get Eckes in there last season, and you expand it to a 2-truck team with Jake Garcia, who had a great season. We're going to talk about in a few minutes. And now, you've got both these guys. And I think, aren't they running a 3rd truck part-time? I can't remember.
Yeah, they are. It's
43.
Yep,
and I think that's going to be a full-time, actually, with Daniel Dye. So that's, we'll get into that one in a second. But yeah, and like I mentioned before, McNally, Hilgeman, they bought a lot of the GMS stuff, has gone over to them. So yeah, they're really getting a program here. And Tyler Ankrum is the guy we talked about quite a bit last season. He was kind of one of our especially I think yours, like long shot top 5 guys on a fairly often basis. He did really well and performed good in that 16 truck, which it's kind of been up and down over the years. I know it had its run with Austin Hill quite a few years ago, but it kind of been on hard times since then. But yeah, now moving over to McNally, I think that he's, the 35 truck with Jake Garcia did good last year. This is the same truck. They've just rebranded it into the 18. I think this is going to be a really good opportunity for Ankrum. I think he's a good driver and definitely somebody I think we're going to be talking about. Does he win a race? Maybe not, but I think he's going to be a guy we can hit on some head-to-heads, top 5s even as well. So yeah, I think he will be definitely a guy that we end up talking about a decent amount in this coming season.
Yeah, and because we know, again, this is talent, but this is talent, and I think a little better equipment than what we were talking about with Grant Enfinger earlier. I think this is where if I think Enfinger would have gone here instead, we would have had a lot more high hopes for Enfinger.
Man.
Yeah.
I'm so curious because Enfinger said he had opportunities that I'm trying to remember how he phrased it, but it was like opportunities that looked more appealing on paper. So you wonder, was this that type of art? Because I feel like Enfinger in this truck, oh man, like that would have been a perfect pairing, but maybe the deal wasn't as good for him. Maybe he has got more assurances. Maybe he's, has to bring less money to the table. Whatever else is out there that goes into why he signed with CR7. Maybe he believes what they're doing. There's those types of scenarios too. You get Justin Haley over in the Cup Series, going to Rick Ware, and everybody's like, what the fuck? But he believes in what they're showing you, and they're going to have 2 full-time guys this year. We'll talk about that a couple days in the Cup Series show. But it would be interesting to know what rides he had the opportunity for. But I think, if we were looking at Grant Enfinger in this truck, we would be pumped about that, and we'd be thinking multiple wins. And we saw Eckes, man, he had a bad, fast truck so many times last year. I was at that Kansas race where he started on the pole and ended up tearing the shit up out of that truck. I saw it down in the garage afterwards, and it was just destroyed, but it was so fast that day. Garcia did so well. Now you're getting the GMS assets. I would imagine some employees came over, stuff like that. So I think that McAnally continues to take another step, adding a third team even now. And so I think that it will be a solid season for Ankrum, bringing that Luna sponsorship over with him as well. They've been his supporter for a while, so good to see that.
Yeah, again, it's to me, I feel like this is going to be a very, very solid. We'll be talking a lot about them going forward, both of them. And let's just go ahead and stay in that camp then, because let's talk about Jack Wood. Jack Wood actually will be driving the 91 for MHR. And he that was about 14 races. He'll race 14 races in that number 91, but only 13 races that he raced through the 2023 season. He had 2 top 10 finishes, Jack Wood. You talked a little bit about Jack Wood last season a couple of times. His name made your list of folks that you talked about.
Of folks to fade, I think, usually more than anything.
I'm pretty sure it was folks to fade.
I mean, he couldn't do much in KBM equipment. That's really all I have to say. If you couldn't do, I expect these McAnally Hilgeman trucks to be decent, but if you're not doing a ton in KBM equipment in the 51 that Kyle Busch himself would drive, are you really going to do that much in this truck? Probably not. So it's going to be pretty much a pass for me on Jack Wood really doing anything. Again, he's got these 14 races, this part-time schedule. And Kevin Bellicourt's going to be the crew chief, which is a solid name in the truck series, but just don't really expect a ton out of Jack Wood over here.
This makes it interesting to have a top 10 market, like a top 10 futures market. Wouldn't that be something if you could set like a top 10 futures market? Because Jack Wood, I mean, again, I would probably set it at a half a top 10, but even still, like drivers like that, if you gave me a half of a top 10, maybe. I mean, his best finish, he had 2 top 10s last season, but his average finish was 21.3. He had 2 DNFs in that 51 truck. But like you said, he's only running 14 races, so this isn't anybody that I would even look at. Maybe, I don't know, his top 10 was at Atlanta. Feels like some of these guys' best runs were in Atlanta, so whatever. I did just say Jack Wood. I did, in fact. Jack Wood.
Yeah, I mean, Jack Wood, what a great name too. I mean, if your last name is Wood, you got to name your kid Jack, right? That's brilliant.
I want to have a beer with Jack Wood. That is my ultimate. One guy I want to bring up that's not on here that I want to talk about before we get to the next driver is Matt DiBenedetto, who just recently tweeted that he's got a full-time ride on iRacing. So just so you
did he really?
He did. He tweeted, he's like, I've got a full-time ride on iRacing. So
I'm telling you, man, every time Bob tweets about a driver announcement, what about Matt DiBenedetto? The replies are just like flood. It's almost like there's bots that are just set up to automatically respond every time Bob tweets. Have you heard anything about Matt DiBenedetto? And I'm guessing that they're controlled by that person I saw last week that had the Matt DiBenedetto license plate cover, because it's like, Whatever. But yeah,
Or they're
no word on Matt DiBenedetto.
They're all DiBenedetto burner accounts. That's what they all are. He's
Well,
like, what about
he's
me?
got a lot of time. He's not doing much racing these days.
He's iRacing right now, so he doesn't have that much time. So just to put that to bed, there's no Matt DiBenedetto news. Sorry to all of you guys.
No 25 truck news either.
No.
That Rackley Warcar truck rather is still unseated, I guess. So that'll be kind of
email.
Did I check my email?
Yeah, because the offer could be in there waiting for
Oh
you.
yeah, I should. They probably saw that video of me racing last week. And
that kid's got heart.
Yeah, that guy. He's a little big, but he brings the heart to the program. So maybe I'll be driving the 25 Rackley War truck. Hey, the team made the playoffs last season, so that's one of those decent rides out there. And do you need that was the thing about why Matt DiBenedetto was perfect for that ride. He can't bring sponsorship. Like, he's allergic to sponsorship. Nobody wants to sponsor, which is, for as popular as he is on Twitter, is surprising because nobody wants to sponsor the guy. But yeah, I don't know.
All right, let's move on to Thor Sport Racing.
Before we do that, Nick Fortune, he's trying to get in the sprint car talking here. Great news, Carson Macedo still racing for World of Outlaws sprint cars. That's been a whole thing over there in the sprint world with all these guys leaving for the Larson, tour, the high limits thing where they're doing full time. We might need to get Kyle Armstrong on sometime just to cover all things in the dirt world, because he's got all that covered a lot better than we do.
Yeah, listen, they just need to start giving us odds.
Well, that's stuff. With these big, you got the World of Outlaws, which is hugely known. Why can we not bet on the World of Outlaws? I mean, they do like 93 races a season, Rod. Can you 93 sprint car races to bet on? Like, they've got TV partners. They got there's the Flow Racing, the Dirt TV, all these things. Like, bring in a gambling sponsorship partnership with that. Like, oh man, you're missing the boat here. What are we doing?
Hey, mess around. We're gonna add a second episode to our F1 and cover Formula E. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna cover both Formula 1 and Formula E.
It's all out there. There's odds for it every week. So
I know.
We might as well at this point.
Odds right now, so I'm ready.
Oh yeah. Listen, we need to do an F1. We need to do an F1 podcast.
We're definitely gonna do that, and then we're gonna do
F1.
All right, Thor Sport. Jake Garcia going to be now in the he's going to be in the Thor Sport racing family now. I mean,
what number is he driving?
Are we excited? I didn't see it. Did you? Because I know it just said he's in
13. He's replacing Haley.
Deegan.
It looks like they're going to do 13. So, this is probably my favorite from a betting aspect. My favorite off-season move for the Truck Series. This is going to Jake Garcia. We saw it in the 35 truck last year. He missed the first. Remember, Chase Elliott had to race for him at Daytona. Missed the first couple races. He was too young. He's 18 years old now. A super young kid, super talented. Had a very solid, very, very solid season. We bet on him multiple times in that 35 truck. Now you're going to put him into some of the most, if not the most, elite equipment out there at Thor Sport, which has a great team every year. They've got multiple championship drivers every year. Ben Rhodes has now won multiple championships in the Truck Series, winning it this past season. Ty Majeski's made his runs there. Was he cheating the whole time? Maybe, but he still made it there, right? And you got Jake Garcia you're adding to this group now. And Haley, it was disappointing what she kind of did in the 13 truck last year. Maybe the Truck Series just isn't her thing. We'll talk about her tomorrow. I think that it's going to be great on the Xfinity program to get her over there. I'm hoping to see a big step from her there, but I think that Garcia stepping into Thor Sport equipment is a dream come true. I'm hoping that because the 13 truck wasn't the best truck last year, it starts him a little bit behind the 8 ball when it comes to the numbers, because that's a guy that I want to bet on. I want to get his win total. He's going to win at least a race. I would probably bet him over 1.5 races. That's how excited I am about Jake Garcia. I think he's going to be a guy that, especially early in the season, when I'm hoping that they haven't caught up to how good of a truck he is and how good of a driver he is, they're kind of disrespecting him on the numbers a little bit, because I think that he's a guy we could get in on and hit some big bets early in the season. Super, super excited for Jake Garcia to be in this 13 truck. And he's a guy that I'm definitely going to be looking to bet on, especially early in the season.
You know, what cracks me up about Jake Garcia, and again, we talked about the fact that we did sort of throw a lot on him here and there off of it. That 13 truck, there was such high expectations coming into this season when it came to Haley Deegan in that 13, because like you said, I mean, there's a lot of heavy championship caliber drivers in there, and yet she didn't necessarily pan out to it. So does that mean that this is what we're about to see? I mean, how high is high? Would you take 2.5 if it came out that way, or is 1.5?
2.5, I think, is definitely, if you're giving me, I mean, if we can ladder it, right? If we can get a bigger number, I would do it. I don't think he should be set at 2.5. I mean, he hasn't even won a truck race yet. So I think we got to pump the brakes a little bit, but I think if we get a total on him, it'll be a half, which I love the over on. But I'm just saying, even at 1.5, I would take it over because I'm that excited about him, and I really think we're going to see a strong season from him. I think if he's one of the guys we get a win total on, which I don't know if we will or not, I think half a race would be the appropriate place to probably set it. But I would definitely consider it at 1.5 because I would take it at 1.5 because I'm really, really excited about what he can do. So excited that Justin says we're going to have to mention Jack Wood again.
Jack
because I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Nick too is wondering. He says, any news on old man Donald Schatz racing in the Truck Series? I've not heard anything about that, but we saw him run the dirt stuff, right? And he's made some Truck Series starts in the past. Maybe he's looking to get back into it. I don't know. I haven't really heard anything about it. 25 trucks open, I heard. So maybe he'll get into that.
Hey, I mean, listen, again, until you check your email, and then it won't be open anymore.
Right, yeah. So I got to respond to that email. I'll get around to it eventually.
Let's talk about your favorite brothers, the brothers Gray, Taylor and Tanner, both staying in their respective 17 and 15. Kind of no surprise there. Tricon kind of banking their future on the Gray brothers. I mean, if they give me head-to-heads on these guys, I'm not touching them because I can never figure out which one's going to finish ahead of the other, and they're always right next to each other. So, you know,
I'm hoping this is Taylor's season. I think he really could take it this season. We'll see. I'm excited. I think that's a good, solid team. They're the lead guys over at Toyota now. I think Taylor was one of the guys that's getting some run in the Gibbs. He's getting some run in the Gibbs Xfinity car too, I believe.
Yeah, a couple, yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm excited for both these guys. And even Tanner has been solid. I think the Taylor, the younger one, is definitely the more talented. But, I'm excited to see them back at Tricon. And I think that obviously we've seen what Corey Heim can do. Oh, man. He's coming back this season. No Carson Hocevar, no Zane Smith. Like, what is he like? He's going to be like Max Verstappen numbers to win the championship, right? Like, who's going to
or not? Maybe they don't.
I mean, he didn't win it this past season, so give us, plus 500 or 600 so I could lay a lot of fucking money on it, please.
So your daughter can figure out why there's no Christmas this year. Daddy, why are
no
there
Christmas this year, but next year is going to be a huge Christmas.
This is called
Don't you worry about
gratitude, young lady, or delayed gratification.
This is a solid investment plan.
My daughter, anytime she sees me open the Prize Picks app, she goes, "Daddy, don't gamble." I'm like, sorry, baby, that can't happen on this one anymore. I love it. All right, let's talk a little bit about the next driver on my list, who just so happens to be Christian Eckes, staying at 19 for MHR. Again, we talked about this racing team. It's a stacked racing team. And Christian Eckes is no different.
Yeah, it's going to be a strong season from Christian Eckes. I think we just mentioned those couple of guys that left the series, right? They went to the Cup Series and in Hocevar and Zane Smith, and there's some solid guys, replacing. Okay, there's a solid guy replacing Zane Smith, I should say. Maybe not so much on the 42. We'll get to that. But I think it's going to be a huge season from Eckes. We talked about all the speed that they showed last year in that car. In that truck, they didn't always get the results of how fast the truck was. So I think that's going to be a big step for them to take is match the results with the speed they actually showed. But very excited for that truck, very excited for that team. I think that Eckes is going to continue to progress, and now throwing who was it there? Ankrum over there into that team as well. I think that's going to be awesome. So love it.
Here's the thing about them as well. That, like I said, that stable is so powerful now. And like you said, you got this guy that was a contender, and Eckes is always a contender. Every single week it was, among the top of the favorite boards to be their winner for a top 5, for a top 10. I mean, it was just, always Eckes was one of the favorites, and now you throw in a supporting cast around him like that, man, that MHR team is going to be something to behold. So far, last but not least, I think for the most part, we already talked about Matt DiBenedetto. We did talk a little bit about Daniel Dye sticking with that 43 truck at GMS.
He's gonna stick with the 43 number, but
right.
Switching over to MHR as well. So he'll be the teammate to Eckes. Why do I keep forgetting the guy in the 18? Ankrum. He'll be their teammates. So another guy we saw a lot of speed from last year. Results weren't always there, so kind of mixes right in perfect with this team. Then with them showing the speed and not necessarily getting the results. We'll see. I'll be interested to kind of see how he holds up. I feel like he'll be the third truck kind of over there, and obviously they're going to have that fourth truck as well. We talked about earlier as a part-time truck, but I think he will be the third of these three full-time guys as far as Eckes is kind of the leader in the clubhouse, Ankrum, and the chat is it's getting ridiculous. Nick Fortune wants to talk about. He asked if we talked about Jack Wood yet. We did talk about Jack Wood, so make sure you go back and listen to Rod talk about Jack Wood.
I'm putting a timestamp, a special timestamp in it for Jack Wood. So if you guys really want to go back and hear more about Jack Wood, I'm going to put a timestamp.
Okay, we're definitely betting on Jack Wood if he's racing at Daytona, which I would assume he probably is. We're going to have a drinking game. Take a shot every time we mention Jack Wood, and we're going to bring up Jack Wood's name a lot.
Oh my God, you guys are going to be drunk before the end of the show.
Maybe we need to bring old-fashioned football on as guests. They can supply the whiskey for the Jack Wood drinking game.
I don't have it up here right now. It got taken off my desk. Can't wait to drink that pig.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I don't know where mine is either. It's somewhere. I promise. I haven't lost it. But
all right. Last but not least, let's talk about Rajah Caruth, a casualty of GMS.
Definitely not last. There's another big one you haven't talked about yet.
I'm missing one.
The 31.
So Rajah Caruth, again, we'll just touch on him real quick. Obviously, we know he races both trucks and Xfinity. Without a truck ride right now with GMS, I haven't seen him sign anywhere lately. Keep an eye on that. He was starting to make some noise. He was starting to get himself in the mix. I'd love to see how that progression kind of gets. The 25 truck is open, right? I mean, he can move up one number. So
yeah. I think so. It sounds like. Listening to All Things Go last week with Brian Murphy and our buddy Derek, sounds like he's going to get definitely some more time in the 17 Hendrick car is what Brian has heard. So I think that's definitely going to be a thing in Xfinity. So does he continue to try to chase truck rides, or is he kind of going more for filling in an Xfinity Series in different rides? Does he just go part-time with Hendrick? It'll be interesting because, I mean, if you're getting part-time rides in Hendrick in Xfinity, that should throw you up on some teams' radars and say, hey, this guy might be pretty fucking good, because Hendrick doesn't just give anybody a ride. It's not, I mean, even at Joe Gibbs, like, they'll let Joe Graff pay for a ride every once in a while, but yeah, you don't get that at Hendrick. So it's that should throw up flags that, hey, this is a kid we need to be looking at. So we'll be interested to kind of see where he goes. The other big one is the 38. Zane Smith, obviously, going to the Cup Series. He's leaving. That's a big truck. It's been one of the better trucks the last couple of seasons. Zane struggled a lot this past season, although, every time he would get penalized and go to the back, he would find his way back to the front very good. But Lane Riggs taking over that. Second generation racer. Scott Riggs was in the Cup Series for quite some time back in the day. We've seen some positives out of Lane Riggs, right? He drove he drove some of the colleague races in their all-star quote-unquote car this past season. He's filled in a couple of Truck Series races as well and done really a good job. I have pretty solid expectations. I think that's a very strong truck. We know that, obviously, the 38. You had Zane Smith in it. I don't remember who was in the 38 before Zane was. So I feel like it was a pretty good driver at that point too. Like, it's not coming to me right now, but we'll think of it later, I'm sure. But yeah, Lane Riggs, I think he's going to have a very solid season in this truck. Definitely going to be somebody that we're going to be talking about. He's a talented driver. He's done a great job coming up through the late model series. A lot of late model asphalt running for him, and then getting into a solid truck, being a solid driver. He's definitely going to be a guy that's be hanging out near the front most weeks, I think.
6 career races in the Truck Series, 1 top 5, 2 top 10s in that career. So, yeah, I mean, brighter days ahead for Lane Riggs. He did finish 3rd at IRP, which was his last Truck Series race in the number 7 truck. I mean, this guy's he pretty much gets into anything that can idle. He was in the 1 truck in Atlanta, the 02 rather in Nashville, and the 7 in IRP to close out the season. So yeah, I mean, not a guy that has any sort of length in it. I mean, he was in the 62 truck for 3 races in 2022, but yeah, a lot of potential ahead for that as well. So we'll be looking forward to that. The reason I didn't talk about the 38 is because I'm prepping to talk about him in the but yeah, you're right. He did leave the 38. So
yes, he did. Yeah. And then the one other driver to mention too, Matt Mills is going to go full time in the 42 truck. He'll replace Carson Hocevar. We saw him, drive a couple of races in that 51 truck for KBM, and he did pretty solid. I tried fading him in a head-to-head one week, and that didn't go well for me. So I'll be interested to see. He's kind of a guy that's hung around for a while in a little bit lower tier rides. Is Nice a top tier truck? We don't necessarily know yet. But I don't know. And then I'm trying to remember what number is the Australian guy. Why can't I think of his name now?
Van Ginsbergen?
Yeah, he's going to be running. Why do they not have his number on here? I don't know what team, because he's going to be running part-time for Nice. I know that's been announced. I don't know that there's a number. And I'm using J-Ski here, and I'm not seeing, they don't have him listed anywhere. So I don't know what number he's going to be in. But it'll be interesting to see what he does, because we know that he's going to run. I don't know that they've announced which races at all, but he is going to run for Nice, I believe, is at least the rumor I've heard. So be interesting to see. Obviously, he's going to run full-time Xfinity. We'll talk about him more tomorrow. But yeah, who knows?
Watch me care about that. I didn't care at all, and I still don't necessarily care. Listen,
you see, there's the Australian fever is getting a little bit ridiculous. There's another guy that's going to be running the RFK 60 car a couple of races now. It looks like, rumors not officially announced yet, but RFK's got that 60 car. They're going to kind of bring that program into the Cup Series as a part-time thing. Obviously, Van Gisbergen's he's moved to America now. He's here full-time. He's been running all kinds of shit. And then you've got Brody Kostecki is going to still race that extra RCR car. I don't remember what this other guy's name is. We'll figure it out, but he's going to come race some 60 car. So they're really, they're milking that SVG win for everything they can.
Kind of don't care at this point. I mean, listen, they're jumping on my bandwagon. I started liking Australian rules football, and then they started bringing in all the Aussie drivers.
It's your fault, Rod.
Screw you guys. I don't care. All right. So that's the list. That's the list of big time news and drivers that have been changing rides and have new seats. And obviously, as we start to get down into the nitty gritty, when odds are posted, we'll be able to fully break down their win totals. And
man, you got to think championship odds have to be coming soon for the Truck Series. Like, what are we waiting for here? Let's go.
An invitation. This is your invitation, Books.
This is your invitation.
I want odds for the Truck Series championships and stuff. So
exactly.
Win totals, right? All the stuff that you gave us for the Cup.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, and we did last off season. We had championship odds. We had win totals. I think that was it for trucks and Xfinity. But if we had those, give those to us again and give us these other options that you get. I mean, the Cup Series, again, they've given us a ton of options. We'd love to have these for the other series as well.
I mean, everything's slowed down to the point now where you can start building a case for all of these guys. It's not like there's going to be a whole lot more announced. It's going to shake up the entire scene of it all. So get on it. That's your homework. You guys have a few days before Christmas and all of Christmas break to get on this. I'm expecting
by January 1. Let's have that up.
I would like that. So that is my wish to Santa Claus. Santa Claus, please bring us a full set of odds for everything we want in the Truck Series. All right. Did we cover this fully and well enough for your takes?
I think so. The one other kind of big silly season thing, obviously, is KBM is going to be Spire now. I don't know that that's going to really change much. I think that everything will fairly well stay the same. It looks like Purdy's going to be back in the 4 car for them as full time. The 51. hasn't been announced. We know Kyle said he's going to run his 5 races still. So will they have another full-time guy or not? We still don't know that exactly, but I think that nothing really kind of changes with that.
Yep, I don't think so either. I think we're going to be good. Thank you, Justin. I always call it Justin Marks. Like anytime I start to say I'm like a Justin Marks. Justin Mark. Thank you, Justin, very much for the love.
That's Justin Marks, the old-fashioned football host, not Justin Mark, the owner of Trackhouse. Two different guys. Or maybe they're the same guys. Never seen them both in the same place before. Who knows? I
blame the fact that I don't get to hang out with you enough, Justin, and not nearly enough. And the fact that I had a friend, Mark, growing up. So anytime I hear Mark in my head, that's the first name that comes to it. So, all right. We will be back tomorrow. We will put this to bed. We'll be back tomorrow. We're going to talk through all of the Xfinity drivers that have new rides, which is almost as extensive as the Truck Series. But we're here to break it down for you, talk about the implications as far as your betting strategies going into it and all that good stuff. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this Truck Series one. Back at it with Xfinity tomorrow. So in the meantime, Cody, as we leave everyone to say goodnight, let everyone know where they can find you and continue to find, and that amazing slow motion video of you winning that trophy in your race.
Yes. If you like to watch fat guys run and taunt and everything in slow motion, check out the video at Husker_Zeeb. I just posted it, I think is what you call it these days, over on the Twitter machine, the X machine. So check it out. Follow the show everywhere as well at NASCAR Gambling. Check us out on YouTube. Again, we're going live for most of these shows now. Not quite all of them yet, but most of them we're going live. So you can always join in and join the fun chat if you don't get lost in Justin and Nick's banter.
I love it. All right. Yes, I am on X at RJ Villagomez. Link at the bottom. Everything I got going on. There's still a ton of it. Still consistently cranking stuff out. So make sure you follow me on there for all the latest of my world. We'll be back tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, with everything we got going on. And until then, let's go racing and let it ride.